Hey, Bolo buddies, thanks for watching. So we have 30 Bolos here, and these are from a member of the Bolo Facebook group that I have. And it's a featured eBay seller who shares 30 of their Bolos. And when I say Bolo, I mean items to be on the lookout for, things that this seller bought low and sold high. I'm going to tell you where they got it, what they paid for it, and how much it sold for. So I have 30 up here, as you can see. And I'm just going to kind of click through and talk about each one. So definitely stay tuned and watch till the end because this is definitely going to teach you what to look for. Down below, if you could subscribe to my channel, click the alerts button and that will alert you when I post new videos. If you'd like to be featured on my channel, I'll also post the link to my video down in the description and you can click on that and that will tell you how to be featured. And also I will post my Facebook group down below. If you're not a member of that, please join. All right, so let's get started here. Whoops. All right. So the first item is this Columbia jacket. And the seller got this at the Salvation Army and they paid $14.99 with 33% off. So whatever that comes out to, but you're getting 3 in 1. So I love how they did the pictures so that you can see exactly what you're getting all in the first photo. It's a great idea. Sold for $65.59. The next item here is this light on recorder and player VCR DVD with remote and cables. I'm not sure if the movie is included or if they're just trying to show that it does work, which I think is a fantastic idea. Yeah, it looks like here they've got the other one so you can see that it is working with a DVD and a tape. I think that is great. I love that. Okay, so I don't know why that moved. I must have accidentally moved it. So that sold for $103.99 and they picked it up at the Salvation Army for $6.99. Okay, so this is a Pentax camera. They picked it up at the Salvation Army for $12.99 and they sold it for $91.29. Great photos, white background, really great pictures. Okay, the next one is this Oakley jacket, which is super cool. I love it. I think it's very cool. They picked this up at the Salvation Army. They did pay a little more for this, $19.99, but it sold for $106.59. So really good margins there. Okay, so this is a transformer. Let's see, 5,000 watt voltage converter transformer. No clue what it is, but I'm sure my husband would know, but I have no clue. But I do know that I would recognize it if I saw it, and this seller paid $9.99 for this at the Salvation Army, and they sold it for $105.83. So a fantastic find. Okay, this one's cool. Ocean Pacific, so not even like a super popular brand, but it's a snowboarding jacket from the 80s and 90s. And they bought this at the Salvation Army for $14.99 and they sold it for $151.19. And again, I love how the seller did the pictures. I just think this is a great idea. I might have to do that someday if I find a jacket that's really cool. All right, so the next one is this calculator, Texas Instruments. They bought this for $10 or less. They can't remember exactly what they paid for it, but they know it was less than $10. Sold it for $50. They took a best offer of $50. All right, and that was from the Salvation Army. Grand Theft Auto. This is it's like a set. Sorry, this is kind of in the way again. So it's a 3-pack collector's edition, and it's got 3 videos here. Goes to a PlayStation. They picked this up for $3.99 at the Salvation Army, and they sold it for $37.99. So again, this one is not a huge profit margin, but if you can find these and find them often and flip them, that's still pretty good margins there. Okay, so this is an animated singing Christmas tree from 1996. Funny looking little guy. Anyway, he picked this up at the Salvation Army for $7.99 and he sold it for $37.79. Again, not a huge profit margin, but still really good BOLO in my opinion. I would take those margins. So this one is a play school doll, and they picked this up at a church thrift store. They took a best offer of $47 and they bought it for $4.99. So that's a pretty good one also. All right, this is a Bose remote control. So guys, you always want to look up, not Bose, but remote controls in general. Some of them sell for big money. This one, the seller got at the Salvation Army for $1.99 and it sold for $66.49. Now that is a BOLO that I want to find. Definitely great margins there. All right, so these are Burton, which is a good brand, snowboard bindings. They got these for $9.99 at the Salvation Army, and they sold them for $82.71. So fantastic. All right, so this is a vintage Puma velour tracksuit. Picked this up at the Salvation Army for $7.99 and flipped it for $83.69. Gotta love eBay. All right, so Red Wing boots. These are brand new. Let's see. They said they sold within a week of listing. They did pay $39 for these, but they sold for $100 within a week. So they did pay more, but they sold fast and they still made really good money. Red Wing boots typically do well. All right, so we got this typewriter, which is a super fantastic color. I'm guessing that really helped sell this. They got this at the Salvation Army for $37. Again, that's a little high to pay for something for most of us, at least for me. But it might be something that you can find at a garage sale or somewhere else that you can get it cheaper. The point is it sold for $111.99. So the seller still made great money, but they did pay a little more for it. All right, so this is a fun little story. So this is a hot dog cart mini, and it sits on top of your counter. And at first I messaged him and I'm like, is this a toy? Because I just saw this photo and I thought, like, is it a Barbie toy? Or is it like a kid's toy, like a kid's playset type toy where, you know, it's kid size? And then he's like, no, it's like a real thing. It cooks hot dogs. And then I looked at the other photos and felt really silly. But anyhow, he bought this at the Goodwill for $5.99. And he searched comps and he couldn't find any. So he took it out to his trash can and he decided to search comps again. And he found one that sold for $150 and he listed it and sold it for $167.99. So just because you can't find any solds at the time, don't give up on it. That is the moral of this story. It did have free shipping. So, okay. So this hat, the seller purchased this on a Goodwill auction site. So I'm not sure. I'm guessing most of you have heard of Goodwill auction site. It's basically Goodwill and they auction off stuff. Anymore, it's hard to find anything at the Goodwill, in my opinion. I went in like trying to look for jewelry and stuff like that, and they didn't even have a counter anymore because I think that most of their stuff like that goes to the auction site. I cannot say for sure. I did not ask. That is just what I am assuming. Okay, so they bought this for $40. Again, Goodwill auction site, and they had $205.69 on it, and they took a best offer of $150. So really good profit margins. I'm guessing if this would have been in the store, they probably could have gotten it a lot cheaper, but because it was on the auction site, it did go a little higher, but still great profit margins. The seller has a really good eye, guys. Okay, sorry, I'm flipping through my notes here. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's being featured. I know that it takes a lot of time to send me all the information that I need to get these videos up and running. So I really, really appreciate it. And for those of you that want to be featured, that would be awesome. Again, the video to learn how to do that is down below. Okay, so this Carhartt jacket, the seller paid $17.99 for this at the Salvation Army. Again, this is probably something that I would have passed on because I would have thought $17.99 was too much, but this seller knew that they were going to make good money. And this sold with 45 bids for $175.50. I never ever would have guessed that this would sell for that much. And this is why I do this, is because I am learning what sells. I have been selling on eBay since 2005, and I mostly sell brand new items with tags. And honestly, the market has declined for clothing, and I'm starting to branch out and going to garage sales and estate sales and stuff like that. I don't do a lot of the Salvation Army or Goodwill, but I do like garage sales and estate sales. So my whole goal was to search eBay solds and try and figure out which items have good profit margins. And it has kind of turned into a Facebook BOLO group that I have. And I'm just kind of sharing what I'm learning with you guys. I am not an expert on BOLOs. I will be the first to admit it. I am learning with you. So I just started this YouTube channel. My first video posted on December 27th of 2018. So about 20 some days ago. So I'm not even a month in. So I am still learning. My videos will get better. I plan to do some garage sale videos, like video what I find at the garage sales and talk about it, and then list it, and then we can talk about it again. So I'm going to do more fun stuff like that as the video, or as I get more experienced in this. But again, I'm just learning, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to buy, because I need BOLOs to be able to share BOLOs. So that's a little bit of my history and why I do this. Okay, so the next one. This is a office bobblehead, and I have this picture pulled up because I want to show you her nose. Her nose is got a big hole in it. This poor doll. And again, I would have passed on this because I would have thought this girl's nose has a big hole in it. Who is going to want this? And you can see here it's new in the box, so the seller still listed it, and it sold for $75.99 with the hole in the nose, guys. They paid $2.99 for this, so awesome BOLO. And then here's this guy, Dwight. And it seems that stuff from The Office, like board games, other items, people love The Office. So definitely search solds if you find something from The Office. Again, this was $2.99. I believe they got this at the Salvation Army also and sold for $50.39. All right, so this is a hockey helmet. It looks to be in fantastic condition. Let's see. Yep, never used. They got this at the Salvation Army for $6.99, and it sold for $100. They took a best offer of $100. So fantastic find. Okay, so this one's kind of out of the box. They picked this up at Meijer's on clearance for $5. So this is not a vintage item. I believe this is still something that's made. I'm not sure why it was clearanced out. Maybe it was discontinued. I don't know. But either way, they bought it for $5 and sold it for $47.59. They did offer free shipping. So that's a great flip. All right, they bought these pool balls for $5.99 on the Goodwill Goodwill online auction. Sold them for $89.72 on eBay. All right, so this is a Ralph Lauren varsity jacket, and I just want to show you here that it has holes all along the sleeve here. And this is what it looks like. So again, this is a learning experience for me. I would not have bought this because of those holes. This seller bought it for $9.99, and they took a best offer of $80. So again, do your research. If you get it cheap enough, take your chances. Ralph Lauren's a pretty good seller, especially if it's vintage. Again, I'm surprised it sold for that much with the holes. He said that if this jacket would have been in mint condition, it probably would have went for $250. So this seller really knows what to look for. Okay, so Ranger Boats. I've never heard of this brand, but the seller bought 8 of these sweatshirts, and they were all a little bit different. Salvation Army. He said he took a best offer for between $35 and $37 on each one of them, and they sold within the first week. So they were a fast seller. Okay, so this is a projector, a slide projector, and I love how the seller shows that, again, that it's working. It's a great idea. Great pictures. $7.99 they paid for it. Nope, I'm sorry. This one they paid $5 or $10. They couldn't remember. And they got it at the Salvation Army, and it sold for $109.99. So pretty cool that it's got the original box. You can kind of see some different pictures here. Okay, so the next one. Okay, this is a great story. So the seller picked up an old camera, like a cheap old camera, at the Salvation Army for $7.99. And they got to looking at the lens, and they looked up the lens, and it had this high-end lens on a cheap camera. So the seller said, be sure to check cheap cameras for good lenses. And then they had this little case already, so they just put the two together and sold them as a set. And they sold the cheap camera separately, and they sold this for $218.49. How awesome is that on a cheap camera, this awesome lens? So really good learning tip there. I'm definitely going to remember that one. Okay, so this North Face coat, vintage, looks like just a puffer coat, sold for $162.89. The seller paid $14.99 for it at the Salvation Army, and he said that this sold to the head of design at North Face. So that's super cool. All right, so we've got this Passport radar laser detector, and they got this for $9.99 at the Salvation Army, and it sold for $71.24. Looks to be in excellent condition. All right, this is a working X-Rite, and I have no idea what it is. The seller said they have no idea what it is, but you can see right here that it is on and working. So anyway, they picked it up for $2.99, and they took a best offer for $120, and they got this at the Goodwill. Super, super cool BOLO. All right, so now I want to show you how to go into this seller's store. So if you go over here to see other items and you click on that, what I want to show you is you go down here and you click sold listings. And if you search by highest first, you can see some of, like, here's the Carhartt, here's the Ralph Lauren hat, the North Face. So if you click on those, you can go in and look at photos and descriptions. I will tell you that that is where you learn the most information. You can look at like tags and labels and different things like that to help you know if something's vintage. So definitely take advantage of that. So go into the solds, click highest first, because those are mostly where I pulled these from. And then you can kind of just scroll down, and like if you want to know more about this gadget here, so you can look at the different photos, and then you can go down to the description, which he didn't really know much about it. So this one doesn't have much of a description. You get the idea. So yeah, definitely do that. And you can also see some other things that they sold. You won't know where they got it or what they sold or what they paid for it, but you can still check out some of their other solds. This seller has a great eye. Okay, so if you go out of solds, and let's go back into their listings, and it's still on highest first. So they got this vintage Burberry jacket, which is super, super cool. Wow. That is fancy. I wonder where they got that. If they got that at the Salvation Army, how amazing would that be? That is so cool. Okay, so you can see some of the other things that they have listed here. Another Burberry coat. Wow. And they're vintage. I mean, just awesome. They got some Tommy, another North Face here that's super neat. Tent. So yeah, you guys might want to do some shopping in this seller store. They have really cool stuff. I'm just kind of looking through. So yeah, and then you can also search by lowest price first. And you can see some of their lower priced items also. So yeah, Definitely, definitely, definitely go in and check out their store, guys. All right, be sure to comment below if you have any questions, and I can always reach out to the seller and ask them. Also, please subscribe, join my Facebook group, and if you want to be featured, please, please let me know. I'd love to feature you. Thanks for watching and have a great evening.